The cargo bay of Nexus Prime Trading Station smelled like oil and rust. Its strange sounds echoed through the metal corridors as dozens of alien species moved their goods from ship to ship. Most creatures avoided the dark corner near the broken ventilation unit. They had good reason to stay away. A small figure crouched behind a pile of empty cargo containers. Golden eyes watched every movement in the bay. The creature was no bigger than a human child, but its appearance made even the bravest traders nervous. Dark green scales covered its small body. Sharp crystal spines ran along its back and arms. Its claws could cut through steel, and its teeth were made for tearing flesh. This was Keth, a juvenile Valdari. His species was known across the galaxy as the most dangerous warriors. They had conquered entire star systems and shown no mercy to their enemies. But Keth was just a frightened child who had been alone for 3 months. The Valdari plague had killed most of his people. The survivors could not care for their young anymore. They had dropped their children at trading stations and disappeared into deep space. Nobody knew if any adult Valdari were still alive. Keth pressed himself deeper into the shadows as a group of blue-skinned Centauri merchants walked past. They spoke in hushed voices about the demon child hiding in the cargo bay. One of them suggested calling station security to have the creature removed. Another said it was better to leave it alone and hope it would starve quietly. The small Valdari's stomach growled with hunger. He had not eaten real food in 2 days. Yesterday, he had found some rotting fruit in a garbage container. The day before, he had caught a small rat-like creature that lived in the station's air vents. It was not enough to keep him alive much longer. Keth remembered his mother's warm embrace, and his father's deep voice telling him stories about the stars. Those memories felt like dreams now. The only reality was cold metal floors and the constant fear of being discovered. A new sound made Keth's pointed ears twitch. Heavy boots walked across the cargo bay floor. The footsteps were different from the others. They did not hurry away when they came near his hiding place. Instead, they stopped just a few meters away. "I know you're there, little one," said A. Gentle voice in galactic standard. "I'm not going to hurt you." Keth's muscles tensed. He was ready to run or fight. His claws extended automatically, and his crystal spines began to glow with a soft blue light. This was how young Valdari showed they were afraid, but ready to defend themselves. The man who spoke was tall and lean with kind. Dark eyes, his black eye. Hair was starting to show gray at the temples. He wore a simple brown jacket with a patch that said Serenity's Hope in both human writing and galactic standard. His hands were empty, and he moved slowly, like someone approaching a frightened animal. "My name is Lee Taman," the man said. "I'm the captain of a cargo ship. I've been watching you for the past few days." Kef did not answer. He had learned that most aliens became violent when they heard a Valdari speak. His voice was deeper than other species expected from someone so young. It frightened them. Captain Lee reached into his jacket pocket. Keth's spines glowed brighter, ready to attack. But the human only pulled out a small package wrapped in silver foil. The smell that came from it made Keth's mouth water. "It's a protein bar," Lee said. "Not the best food in the galaxy, but it will give you energy." He placed the package on the ground and stepped back. "Take it. You look hungry." Keth stared at the food. It could be poisoned. Many species would be happy to kill the last Valdari child. But his hunger was stronger than his fear. He darted forward, grabbed the protein bar, and retreated to his hiding place. The wrapper crinkled as he tore it open. The bar tasted better than anything he had eaten in weeks. It was sweet and salty at the same time, with chunks of real meat. Mixed in, Keth finished it in 3 bites and looked hopefully at the human tat. Captain Lee smiled and sat down on a nearby crate. "Better?" he asked. "I have more food on my ship. Real meals, not just emergency rations." "Why?" Keth asked. His voice was rough from not speaking for so long. "Why help me?" The human's expression became sad. "Because you're just a child. And every child deserves kindness no matter where they come from." Keth had heard humans were strange. They helped other species even when it gave them no advantage. The Valdari had always thought this made humans weak. But sitting in the cold cargo bay, Keth thought maybe kindness was a different kind of strength. "The others want me dead," Keth said quietly. "They think I will grow up to be a killer like my ancestors." "Will you?" Lee asked. Keth thought about this question. His people had been warriors for thousands of years. They'd conquered and destroyed without mercy. But Keth did not feel violent. He felt scared and lonely. He wanted someone to care about. "Him? I don't know," Keth answered honestly. "I don't want to hurt anyone. I just want to belong somewhere." Captain Lee nodded. "That's all any of us want, to belong." He stood up and brushed dust off his pants. "My ship leaves in 2 hours. If you want to come with us, you're welcome." "Bring you more food before we go." Keth's golden eyes widened. "You would take me on your ship, even though I'm Valdari?" "Especially because you're Valdari," Lee said. "Someone needs to give you a chance to become whatever you choose to be." The small alien looked around the cargo bay that had been his prison for 3 months. Then he looked at the human who had shown him the first kindness he had received since. His parents died. The choice was easy. "I will come with you," Keth said. Captain Lee smiled. "Welcome aboard the Serenity's Hope, Keth. Let's go home." As they walked toward the docking bay, other aliens stared and whispered. Some pointed in fear. Others made gestures to ward off evil. But Captain Lee kept walking, and Keth stayed close beside him. For the first time in months, the young Valdari felt hope. Maybe the galaxy had turned away from him, but one human had chosen to turn toward him instead. That was enough to change everything. The medical bay of Serenity's Hope was small but clean. Dr. Park. Somin carefully moved her scanner over Keth's thin body. The young Valdari sat very still on the examination table, trying not to flinch when the machine beeped. "Hold still, little one," Dr. Park said softly. "This won't hurt. I need to see how healthy you are." Keth had been on the human ship for 5 days now. The crew had been kind to him. But he still felt nervous around new people. Dr. Park had gentle hands and spoke in a quiet voice that reminded him of his mother. The scanner finished its work with a final beep. Dr. Park looked at the results on her screen. Her face became worried. She checked the readings twice before calling Captain Lee to the medical bay. "What did you find?" Captain Lee asked when he arrived. "Keth is very sick," Dr. Park said. "He's severely malnourished. His bones are weak from lack of proper food. But that's not the worst part." She pointed to strange marks on the scanner image. He has Valdari genetic syndrome. It's a rare condition that affects how his body processes nutrients. Captain Lee looked confused. "What does that mean?" "It means he needs special medicine that only works on Valdari biology. Without treatment, he will die within a few months. The medicine exists, but it's only available at major medical centers." Keth listened to their conversation with growing fear. He had survived 3 months alone on the trading station, but now his own body was failing him. "Am I going to die?" he asked in a small voice. Dr. Park knelt down beside him. "Not if I can help it. We're going to find you the medicine you need." Captain Lee checked their navigation charts. The Kepler station is 2 days away. They have one of the best medical facilities in this sector. "Perfect," Dr. Park said. "We can get Keth treated there." But when they arrived at Kepler station, they quickly discovered that having the best medical facility meant nothing if the doctors refused to use it. The head physician was a tall, gray-skinned Trinity named Dr. Velanash. His forearms moved nervously when he saw Keth enter the medical center. The other patients in the waiting room stood up and moved away when they noticed the young Valdari. "Absolutely not," Dr. Velanash said before Captain Lee could finish explaining the situation. "We do not treat Valdari here. They are too dangerous." "Just a child," Dr. Park protested. "He's dying without proper medical care." "A child who will grow up to be a killer," Dr. Velanash replied. "The Valdari destroyed my home world 50 years ago. I will not help one of them, no matter how young." Captain Lee tried to reason with the doctor. "The war is over. The Valdari are almost extinct. This child had nothing to do with what happened in the past." But Dr. Velanash would not change his mind. "Find another doctor. We are done here." Their next stop was the Zephyrian medical ship Healing. The insectoid Zephyrians were known throughout the galaxy for their advanced healing abilities. Captain Lee was hopeful as they requested permission to dock. The response came quickly. Over the communication system, permission denied. We do not allow Faldari aboard our vessels. But we have a sick child who needs help, Captain Lee argued. The answer is no, came the reply. Find another ship. The docking bay doors slammed shut. Leaving Serenity's Hope floating in space with nowhere to go, Dr. Park checked Keth's condition. Again, the young Valdari was getting weaker. His golden eyes had lost their bright glow, and his crystal spines were turning dull gray. They were running out of time. There's one more option, Captain Lee said. The ethereal healers on Sanctuary Station. They believe in helping all living beings, no matter what species. The ethereals were beings of pure energy who had dedicated their lives to healing others. If anyone would help Keth, it would be them. Sanctuary Station was beautiful, glowed with soft blue light, and peaceful music played in the corridors. The ethereals appeared as shimmering figures that moved like liquid starlight. Hi. Healer Lumara listened to their request with what seemed like sympathy. Her energy form pulsed with gentle colors as she considered their words. Understand. Your situation, she said in a voice like wind chimes. But we cannot help this child. Why not? Dr. Park asked. I thought you helped everyone. We heal those who bring light to the universe, Lumara explained. The Valdari are creatures of darkness. To heal one would corrupt our sacred purpose. Captain. Lee felt anger building inside him. He's just a child. How can you call a child a creature of darkness? The darkness is in their very nature, Lumara said. It cannot be changed. I am sorry, but we cannot help you. Back on Serenity's Hope, the crew gathered in the common room. Everyone looked sad and frustrated. Engineer Kim Dong-ho had witnessed something that made him even more upset. I saw a group of alien children throwing rocks at Keth while we were on the station, he said. Their parents were watching and smiling. They were teaching their kids to hate him. Navigation Officer Choi Min-soo shook his head. I've never seen anything like it. Every species we've encountered refuses to help. It's like the entire galaxy has agreed that Faldari don't deserve to live. Communications Officer Yoon Hae-won had been monitoring galactic news feeds. It's getting worse. There are reports of Valdari children being killed on site at some stations. The Galactic Council is debating whether to officially declare them a threat to public safety. Keth sat quietly in the corner, trying to make himself as small as possible. He had heard every word. The galaxy didn't just fear him, they wanted him dead. Maybe they're right, he said quietly. Maybe I am too dangerous to live. Captain Lee immediately went to the young Valdari and knelt down beside him. Don't ever say that. You are not dangerous. You're a child who deserves love and care, just like any other child. But what if I grow up to be like the others? Keth asked. What if I become a killer? Dr. Park joined them. Keth, I've been studying your medical scans. You know what I found? Your brain patterns are completely different from adult Valdari. You don't have the neural structures that made them aggressive. You're not destined to become like them. Really? Keth looked up with hope in his golden eyes. Really? Dr. Park confirmed. But that doesn't matter right now. What matters is keeping you alive long enough to prove the galaxy wrong about your people. Captain Lee made a decision that would change all their lives. We're going to Earth. Human medical facilities will treat you, and human space will protect you. But that's illegal, Choi Min-soo said. What? Bringing potentially dangerous aliens to human space requires special permits. Then we'll get the permits later, Captain Lee said. Right now we have a child who needs help, and I'm not going to let him die because of galactic prejudice. The crew looked at each other. They all knew the risks. They could lose their licenses, face prison, or worse. But they also knew it was the right thing to do. I'm with you, Captain, Kim Dong-ho said. Me too, added Yoon Hae-won. One by one, the entire crew agreed to risk everything for Tath, as Serenity's Hope changed course toward human space. Keth felt something he had never experienced before. For the first time in his life, he had a family. Willing to fight for him, the galaxy had turned away from the fierce cub, but the humans had chosen to turn toward him instead. The journey to human space would take 6 days. Captain Lee Taman stood on the bridge of Serenity's Hope, watching the stars streak past as they traveled through hyperspace. He had made many difficult decisions in his 20 years as a ship captain, but this one felt different. This time he was risking everything for a child who had no one else. Navigation Officer Choi Min-soo worked at his station, calculating the safest route to Earth. Captain, I've found a path that avoids the main shipping lanes. If we stay away from the busy routes, we're less likely to be detected by Galactic Patrol. Good work, Min-soo, Captain Lee said. How much extra time will it add to our journey? 2 days, sir, but it's worth it to keep Keth safe. In the medical bay, Dr. Park So-min was doing everything she could to keep Keth alive. The young Faldari was getting weaker each day. His scales had lost their green shine and looked gray and dull. His crystal spines barely glowed anymore. How's he doing? Captain Lee asked when he visited the medical bay. Dr. Park looked tired. She had been working around the clock to help Keth. Not good. His body is shutting down slowly. I'm giving him nutrients through an IV, but it's not enough. He needs the special medicine soon, or we'll lose him. Keth opened his golden eyes when he heard voices. Captain Lee, he said weakly. I'm here, little one, Captain Lee said, sitting beside the medical bed. How are you feeling? Tired, Keth whispered, but happy. No one has ever cared about me like this before. Captain Lee felt his heart break a little. Your family now, Keth. Family takes care of each other. While Keth rested, the rest of the crew was working hard to make him feel welcome. Communications. Officer Yoon Hae-won had been teaching the young Valdari basic Terran standard, the language humans used. Keth was a quick learner and could already say simple phrases. Thank you, Keth said to Hae-won during one of their lessons. You are kind. Welcome, Hae-won replied with a smile. Your pronunciation is getting much better. Soon you'll be speaking like a native human. Chef Lim Jae-sung had been studying Faldari dietary needs. It was not easy, because very little information existed about what young Faldari should eat. Of the galaxy's knowledge about the species came from military reports about their warriors. I think I figured out why he's been so sick, Jae-sung told Dr. Park. Faldari need a lot more protein than other species. Their bodies are designed to process raw meat, but they can also eat cooked food if it's prepared correctly, he had created. Special meals for Keth, using the ship's limited supplies. The food was rich in protein and vitamins that Dr. Park said the young Valdari needed. Even though Keth was too weak to eat much, he seemed to enjoy the taste. Engineer Kim Dong-ho had made some changes to Keth's sleeping area. I had installed softer lighting that was easier on the Valdari's sensitive eyes. He had also added a heating unit because Keth's species came from a warmer planet. You didn't have to do this, Keth said when he saw the improvements. I wanted to, Dong-ho replied. Everyone deserves to be comfortable in their home. This is my home now? Keth asked. As long as you want it to be, Dong-ho said. On the 4th day of their journey, their peaceful trip was interrupted. Warning. Alarms sounded throughout the ship. Captain Lee rushed to the bridge to find Min-soo, staring at his scanner in horror. 3 galactic patrol ships are approaching, Min-soo reported. They're moving fast and demanding that we stop. Captain Lee's stomach dropped. The Galactic Patrol was the military force that kept peace between different species. If they had found Serenity's Hope, it meant someone had reported them for carrying a Valdari. This is Commander Veltar of the Hegemony Council, came a voice. Over the communication system, you are carrying a dangerous creature in violation of Galactic Safety Protocol. 7 Alpha. Surrender the Valdari immediately for disposal. Captain Lee activated the ship's communication system. This is Captain Lee Taman of the cargo vessel, Serenity's Hope. We are carrying a sick child who needs medical treatment. He poses no threat to anyone. The Valdari are classified as a dangerous species, Commander Veltar replied. All surviving members must be eliminated to prevent future conflicts. You have 5 minutes to surrender the creature, or we will take it by force. The bridge fell silent. Everyone looked at Captain Lee, waiting for his decision. They all knew what surrender would mean for Keth. The Galactic Patrol would kill him immediately. Captain Minsu said quietly. If we run, they'll chase us. There. Ships are faster than ours, and if we fight, they'll destroy us, added Hay-1. What do we do? Captain Lee thought about Keth lying weak and helpless in the medical bay. He thought about the frightened child who had been hiding in the cargo bay of Nexus Prime. He thought about the crew who had risked everything to help one small alien. We run, he said firmly. Full power to the engines. Get us out of here. Chase began immediately. Serenity's Hope was a cargo ship, not built for speed or combat. The galactic patrol vessels were designed for pursuit and were gaining on them quickly. They're charging weapons, Minsu reported. Energy readings are off the charts. Evasive maneuvers, Captain Lee ordered. Don't let them get a clear shot. Ship shook as laser blasts barely missed them. In the medical bay, Dr. Park held on to Keth's bed to keep him from falling. The young Valdari was frightened, but trying to be brave. Are they going to kill me? Keth asked. Not if we can help it, Dr. Park said, checking his foreline to make sure it was still working. On the bridge, things were getting desperate. The patrol ships were getting closer, and Serenity's Hope was running out of places to hide. Right there. Minsu said suddenly, pointing at his scanner. The Drift Nebula. It's a cloud of gas and dust that interferes with sensors. If we can get inside, they might lose us. It's incredibly dangerous, Hay-1 said. Ships have been lost in there because they couldn't navigate properly. Captain Lee made another split-second decision. We're going in. It's better than letting them catch us. Serenity's Hope dove into the swirling clouds of the Drift Nebula. Immediately, their instruments began acting strangely. The ship's sensors could barely see a few hundred meters in any direction. I can't see anything, Minsu said, struggling with his controls. The nebula's blocking everything. That's when something unexpected happened. Keth suddenly sat up in his medical bed. Despite being too weak to move for days, Leffy said urgently, Turn left now. Dr. Park was confused. Keth, you need to lie down. You're too sick to know, Keth interrupted. I can feel it. There's something wrong with the space ahead. Turn left, or we'll crash. Dr. Park quickly called the bridge. Captain Keth is saying we need to turn left. He seems to sense something our instruments can't detect. Captain Lee didn't hesitate. Hard left Minsu. Do it now. The ship turned sharply just as a massive asteroid appeared out of the nebula clouds. If they had continued straight, they would. Have crashed into it? How did he know? Minsu asked in amazement. Valdari have natural navigation abilities, Dr. Park realized. They can sense gravitational fields and space distortions. That's how they became such successful space travelers. For the next 2 hours, Keth guided them through the dangerous nebula. Even though he was barely conscious, he could sense things that human technology couldn't detect. He warned them about asteroids, gas pockets, and gravitational anomalies. When they finally emerged from the other side of the nebula, the patrol ships were gone. They had lost their pursuers in the swirling clouds. We made it, Captain Lee said with relief. And we're only 6 hours from human space. Keth had collapsed back onto his bed, exhausted from the effort of guiding them. But he was smiling weakly. I helped, he whispered. I was useful. You saved us all, Dr. Park said, adjusting his fore. You're a hero, Keth. As they approached the border of human space, Captain Lee received an unexpected message. It was from Director Nam Soo-jin of the Terran Integration Program. Captain Lee, we've been expecting you. Please proceed to Earth Medical Station for immediate treatment of your passenger. You'll find that humanity has different ideas about who deserves help. Captain Lee smiled for the first time in days. They had made it to safety, and Keth was going to get the treatment he needed. The galaxy might have turned away from the fierce cub, but humanity was ready to embrace him. As Earth grew larger on their view screen, Keth looked up at Captain Lee with gratitude in his golden eyes. Thank you, he said simply, for everything. Welcome to human space, Keth, Captain Lee replied. Welcome home. Earth Medical Station was unlike anything Keth had ever seen. The massive structure orbited Earth like a bright star, its white walls gleaming in the sunlight. Ships from dozens of human colonies came and went, bringing patients from across human. Space Dr. Park Soman carried Keth in her arms as they walked through the station's corridors. The young Valdari was too weak to walk on his own, but his golden eyes took in everything around him. Human doctors and nurses moved with purpose, but they didn't run away when they saw him. Some even smiled and waved. "Welcome to Earth Medical," said a cheerful human nurse named Lee Min-young. "Dr. Chen is waiting for you in the pediatric ward." Dr. Amanda Chen was a specialist in alien biology. She had been studying Faldari medical data for weeks, preparing for Keth's arrival. When she saw the sick child, her heart filled with determination. "Let's get you feeling better," she said gently, running her scanner over Keth's body. "I have the medicine you need, and we're going to take very good care of you." The treatment began immediately. Dr. Chen injected Keth with a specially prepared serum that would help his body process nutrients correctly. Within hours, his scales began to regain their green color. His crystal spines started to glow softly. "Again, the medicine is working," Dr. Park said with relief. "He's getting stronger." But their celebration was cut short when Director Nam Soo-jin arrived with troubling news. She was a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and gray hair pulled back. "In a simple bun, Captain Lee, we need to talk," she said seriously. "The Galactic Council is putting pressure on Earth's government. They want us to surrender Keth immediately." Captain Lee felt his anger rising. "He's just a child who was dying. We saved his life." "I know," Director Nam said. "The Council is threatening to cut off trade with human colonies if we don't comply. They're saying that harboring a Valdari is an act of war." "What does that mean for Keth?" Dr. Park asked. "It means we're going to fight," Director Nam said firmly. "Earth's government has made a decision. We will not surrender a child to be killed because of what his ancestors did." Over the next few days, the situation became more tense. Galactic patrol ships appeared at the edge of human space, demanding that Keth be handed over. News reports across the galaxy showed protests on different worlds, the aliens calling for the Valdari threat to be eliminated. But something unexpected was happening on Earth. Humans were rallying to support Keth. Children sent him drawings and toys. Schools held fundraisers for Faldari refugee programs. Scientists published papers proving that young Faldari were not naturally violent. Keth was amazed by the support. He had never imagined that so many people could care about him. "They helping me?" he asked Captain Lee during one of his visits. "Because humans believe that every child deserves a chance," Captain Lee explained. "We don't judge people by what their parents did. We judge them by their own actions." Dr. Chen had been working day and night to understand Faldari biology. Research revealed something incredible. The adult Faldari weren't naturally violent, she announced to the medical team. They were infected by a parasite that affected their brain chemistry. The plague that killed them also destroyed the parasite. This meant that young Faldari like Keth were completely different from their warrior ancestors. They had the potential to be peaceful, intelligent beings who could contribute to galactic society. "We need to tell the galaxy about this," Dr. Park said excitedly. "We will," Director Nam promised. "But first, we need to keep Keth safe." The standoff continued for weeks. The Galactic Council threatened economic sanctions against human space. Some human colonies began to worry about the cost of protecting one alien child. But Earth's government held firm. During this time, Keth continued to recover. His strength returned, and his natural abilities became more apparent. He could sense things that human instruments couldn't detect. He learned languages incredibly quickly. Most importantly, he showed no signs of aggression or violence. "He's remarkable," Dr. Chen told Director Nam. "His intelligence is off the charts, and his emotional development is completely normal. He's curious, kind, and eager to help others." Keth had become especially close to the medical staff. He helped translate alien medical texts, assisted with research, and even comforted other young patients. His gentle nature won over everyone who met him, but the pressure from the galaxy was becoming overwhelming. Economic sanctions were hurting human colonies. Some governments were demanding that Earth surrender Keth to save their trade relationships. Captain Lee and his crew had stayed on Earth to support Keth. They watched the news reports with growing concern. Maybe we should have left him on Nexus Prime, Engineer Kim Dong-ho said sadly. At least then he would have died quietly, and humans wouldn't be suffering for him. Don't ever say that, Captain Lee said firmly. Saving Keth was the right thing to do. If humans have to choose between money and morality, I'm proud that we chose morality. The crisis reached its peak when the Galactic Council issued an ultimatum. Surrender the Feldari within 72 hours, or face complete isolation from galactic society. Earth's leaders held emergency meetings. Some wanted to give up Keth to save their economy. Others insisted that protecting him was a matter of human dignity. The debate raged for hours. Finally, Earth's president made a historic announcement. We will not surrender this child. If the galaxy wants to punish us for showing compassion, then we will face that punishment together. But we will not sacrifice our values to appease fear and prejudice. Keth watched the announcement with tears in his golden eyes. An entire species was risking everything to protect him. He had never felt so loved and so guilty at the same time. Should go, he told Captain Lee. I don't want humans to suffer because of me. You're not going anywhere, Captain Lee said. Your family, and family sticks together no matter what. As the 72-hour deadline approached, human ships began gathering. Around Earth, colonists from across human space came to show their support. Military vessels took defensive positions. Earth was preparing for the possibility of war. But Keth had made a decision that would change everything. He had grown stronger, braver, and more determined during his time with humans. He knew what he had to do. On the final day of the ultimatum, Keth surprised everyone by requesting to address the Galactic Council himself. I want to speak for my people, he said. I want to tell them who we really are. Director Nam was hesitant. It's too dangerous. They might try to harm you. I'm not afraid anymore, Keth said. The humans taught me that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing what's right, even when you're scared. Captain Lee looked at the young Valdari with pride. The frightened child from the cargo bay had become a brave young being willing to stand up for himself and his species. Then we'll stand with you, Captain Lee said. Whatever happens, we'll face it together. The stage was set for a confrontation. That would determine not just Keth's fate, but the future of human-alien relations in the galaxy. 6 months had passed since Keth first arrived on Earth. The young Faldari had grown taller and stronger, his golden eyes now bright with health and happiness. His scales had returned to their original deep green color, and his crystal spines glowed with a soft blue light that seemed to reflect his emotions. Captain Lee. Taman had officially adopted Keth through Earth's legal system. The paperwork had been complicated because no one had ever adopted a Valdari before. But Director Nam Sujin had helped navigate the bureaucracy. Keth now had a legal guardian and a real family. Good morning, son, Captain Lee said as Keth entered the kitchen of their small apartment near the medical station. Good morning, father, Keth replied, still getting used to the words. Speaking them made him feel warm inside. He had never called anyone father before. Keth had become an official member of Serenity's Hope's crew. He wore a uniform with the ship's patch and had his own workstation on the bridge. His unique abilities had proved invaluable during their trading missions. Keth, can you check the navigation system? Asked Choi Min-soo during their latest cargo run. I'm getting some strange readings. Keth placed his clawed hands on the console. His crystal spines began to glow brighter as he connected with the ship's quantum computer. This was something no human could do. The Faldari had evolved to interface directly with advanced technology. There's a gravitational anomaly 3 sectors ahead, Keth reported. It's not showing up on our sensors, but I can feel it through the computer's quantum field. Should we change course? Captain Lee asked. No. But we need to reduce speed by 30% when we reach the anomaly. Otherwise, we'll be pulled off course. Navigation that would have been impossible for human technology became simple with Keth's help. He could sense things in space that no instrument could detect. His perfect spatial memory meant he never forgot a route once he had traveled it. Dr. Park Soman had been studying Keth's abilities for months. It's incredible, she told the crew during one of their regular meetings. His brain has structures that humans don't possess. He can process quantum information directly, which explains how he can interface with computers Is that why the Valdari were such good space travelers? Asked Communications Officer Yoon-hae-won. Exactly, Dr. Park said. They didn't need advanced sensors because they could sense space distortions naturally. They weren't just warriors. They were the most gifted navigators in the galaxy. But Keth's abilities went beyond navigation. He'd learned to speak 7 different languages fluently. His memory was perfect, and he could solve complex mathematical problems in his head. Most importantly, he had developed a deep empathy for other beings. I think I understand why my people became warriors, Keth said during one of their conversations. They were infected by the parasite, but they were also afraid. Though you can sense danger everywhere in space, it makes you want to strike first. But you're not afraid, Captain Lee observed. I was, Keth admitted. But you've taught me that most beings are good. The parasite made my ancestors see enemies everywhere, but I can see friends. Their success as a crew had attracted attention throughout human space. Serenity's Hope was now one of the most requested cargo ships for dangerous missions. Other species had begun to notice their unusual efficiency. However, not all attention was welcome. The Hegemony Council, led by the xenophobic Chancellor Morden, had been watching their activities with growing concern. Chancellor Morden was a tall, insectoid being who believed that humans were becoming too powerful and needed to be controlled. The humans are harboring a weapon, Chancellor Morden announced. During a closed council session, this Valdari child will grow up to be a threat to galactic peace. We must act before it's too late. The council had secretly placed a bounty on Keth's capture. 1 million galactic credits for the young Valdari, dead or alive. The bounty was posted on black market networks throughout the galaxy. Captain Lee first learned about the bounty when an old friend contacted him privately. Taman, you need to be careful, said Captain Sarah Martinez of the human vessel Starlight Runner. There are hunters looking for Keth. The price on his head is enough to buy a small moon. Who put up the bounty? Captain Lee asked. What? No one knows for sure, but the smart money says it's the Hegemony Council. They want the kid gone before he becomes a symbol of hope for other persecuted species. Captain Lee shared the news with his crew. Everyone was worried, but they were also determined to protect Keth. We knew this day would come, said engineer Kim Dong-ho. The question is, what do we do about it? We keep doing what we've always done, Captain Lee said. We take care of our family, but the pressure was mounting. Bounty hunters had been spotted near human space. Some were asking questions about Serenity's Hope at trading stations. The crew had to be more careful than ever. Keth was aware of the danger, but he refused to hide. I won't let fear control my life, he told Captain Lee. The humans taught me that courage means facing your problems, not running from them. You're very brave, Captain Lee said. But sometimes being brave means knowing when to be careful. I am being careful, Keth replied, but I'm also living. For the first time. In my life, I have a purpose. I'm helping people, and I'm proving that Valdari can be more than warriors. Keth had indeed become a symbol of hope. News of his peaceful nature had spread throughout human space and beyond. Some alien species had begun to question their prejudices about the Valdari. Young aliens who had been taught to hate the Valdari were now curious about Keth's story. Changing minds, Director Nam Soo-jin told Captain Lee during one of their regular meetings. Slowly but surely, we're getting reports of other species starting to reconsider their views on genetic determinism. That's wonderful, Captain Lee said. But it also makes him a bigger target. I know, Director Nam said. That's why we need to be prepared for what's coming. The Hegemony Council won't let this continue much longer. They're going to make a move. The crew of Serenity's Hope had become like a real family. They celebrated Keth's birthday with a party that included cake and presents. They taught him human games and traditions. Most importantly, they showed him what it meant to be loved, unconditionally. I never thought I could be this happy. Keth told Captain Lee on the night before his first birthday celebration as a human citizen, "Thank you for giving me a life worth living. It gave us just as much," Captain Lee replied. You showed us. That prejudice is just fear, and fear can be overcome with understanding. But their happiness was about to be tested. The next morning, they received a message that would change everything. It was from the Galactic Assembly, the governing body of all known species. By order of the Hegemony Council, the Valdari known as Keth is to be surrendered immediately for crimes against galactic peace. Failure to comply will result in sanctions against all human colonies. The message was signed by Chancellor Morden himself. The council had finally decided to act. Captain Lee gathered his crew for an emergency meeting. They're not just asking for Keth, he said. They're demanding him. They're threatening to punish all of humanity if we refuse. What do we do? Asked Chef Lim Jasoon. We protect our family, Captain Lee said firmly. Whatever it takes. But Keth had already made his decision. I'm going to surrender, he announced. I won't let humans suffer because of me. Absolutely not, Captain Lee said. We're not giving up on you. You're not giving up on me, Keth said calmly. You're letting me choose my own path, and I choose to face the council myself. Young Valdari had grown from a frightened child into a brave young adult. The humans had given him the strength to stand up for himself and his people. Now it was time to use that strength to change the galaxy forever. The Galactic Assembly Hall was the largest structure in known space. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered here to make decisions that affected billions of lives. Today, the hall buzzed with nervous energy as delegates waited for the most unusual hearing in galactic history. Keth walked into the assembly chamber wearing a simple blue uniform, with the Serenity's Hope patch on his chest. He was no longer the frightened child who had hidden in cargo bays. At 18 months old in Valdari years, he had grown into a young adult with confidence and purpose. Captain Lee Taman walked beside him, along with Dr. Park Soman and Director Nam Sujin. The human delegation had requested permission to speak in Keth's defense, but Chancellor Morden had initially refused. The creature will speak for itself, Chancellor Morden had declared. Then it will be executed for the safety of the galaxy. But public pressure had forced the council to allow witnesses. News of Keth's surrender had spread across human space and beyond. Protests had erupted on dozens of worlds, with beings of many species demanding a fair hearing. The assembly chamber fell silent as Keth approached the speaking platform. Thousands of alien delegates stared at him with mixtures of fear, curiosity, and hatred. Many had never seen a live Valdari before. Chancellor Morden stood at the judge's bench, his insectoid features twisted with disgust.
Ow.
The accused will state, "It's named for the record." "My name is Keth," the young Valdari said clearly. "I am the son of Captain Lee Taman of the human vessel Serenity's Hope." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Many delegates were surprised by Keth's calm manner and perfect pronunciation. They had expected a savage beast, not an articulate young being. "You are accused of being a member of a dangerous species," Chancellor Morden continued. "How do you answer this charge?" Keth looked directly at the Chancellor. "I am Valdari, yes, but I am not dangerous. I have never harmed another being. I have spent my life helping others and learning from them. The Valdari are killers by nature," Chancellor Morden declared. "Your species destroyed entire civilizations. You cannot change what you are." "With respect, Chancellor," Keth said calmly, "you are wrong about my people." The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. No one had ever contradicted the Chancellor so directly. Keth continued speaking, his voice carrying clearly through the vast hall. "Dr. Park Soman of Earth Medical Station has discovered the truth about my species. We're not naturally violent. We were infected by a parasite that affected our brain chemistry and made us aggressive." Dr. Park stood up in the human section. "I request permission to present my medical findings to the assembly." Chancellor Morden looked annoyed but could not refuse without appearing unfair. "Permission granted, but make it quick." Dr. Park approached a display screen and activated her presentation. Images of Valdar brain scans appeared for all to see. These scans show the difference between adult Valdari from before the plague and young Valdari, like Keth. The parasitic infection created neural pathways that promoted aggression and violence. Without the parasite, Valdari are naturally peaceful and intelligent. The evidence was clear and undeniable. Murmurs of surprise and interest filled the chamber. Some delegates began to look at Keth with curiosity rather than fear. "Is true," Chancellor Morden said. "How can we trust that the parasite will not return?" "Because I have lived among humans for over a year," Keth replied. "I have been tested regularly." There is no sign of the parasite or aggressive behavior. Instead, I have helped save ships from disasters, assisted in medical research, and learned to care for others. Captain Lee stood up. Permission to speak in support of my son. The word son caused another stir in the assembly. Many delegates had not realized that Keth was legally adopted by a human family. Keth has been a member of my crew for months, Captain Lee said. He has saved our lives multiple times with his natural abilities. He shows compassion for others and goes out of his way to help anyone in need. He is everything the old Valdari were not, one by one. Other humans stood to speak about Keth. Chef Lim Jae-soon told how Keth had comforted a sick passenger during a difficult journey. Communications Officer Yoon Hae-won described how Keth had learned 7 languages just so he could translate for aliens who didn't speak. It's galactic standard. But the most powerful testimony came from an unexpected source. Dr. Velinosh, the Threnody physician who had refused to treat Keth, requested permission to speak. I was wrong, Dr. Velinosh, said his 4 arms trembling with emotion. I let my hatred blind me to the truth. This young being is not responsible for what happened to my world. He deserves the chance to show what his people can become. The momentum in the chamber was shifting. Delegates who had come expecting to witness an execution were now questioning their prejudices. Chancellor Morden could see that he was losing control of the situation. Enough, he declared. The Valdari are too dangerous to live, regardless of these so-called medical findings. The safety of the galaxy requires justice, not genocide, interrupted a new voice. Everyone turned to see High Healer Lumara of the Ethereals floating into the chamber. Her energy form pulsed with urgent light as she approached the speaking platform. I've meditated on this matter for many days, Lumara said. The young Valdari carries no darkness in his spirit. He radiates the same light as any compassionate being. We were wrong to judge him by his ancestry. This declaration from the Ethereals, who were respected throughout the galaxy for their wisdom, changed everything. If beings of pure energy could sense goodness in Keth, how could anyone argue that he was evil? Chancellor Morden's face turned darker with rage. You've all been deceived by human trickery. The Valdari will always be dangerous. I call for an immediate vote of execution. But as delegates prepared to vote, Keth raised his hand to speak. Again, Chancellor Morden, I have a question for you. What? The Chancellor snapped. Why are you so afraid of me? The question caught Chancellor Morden off guard. I am not afraid. I am being practical. I think you are afraid, Keth said, gently. You're afraid that if I'm allowed to live, other people will start questioning the rules you've made. You're afraid that compassion might be stronger than fear. Keth's words struck home. Many delegates began to see that Chancellor Morden's opposition was based on maintaining power, not protecting the galaxy. I want to show you who I really am, Keth continued. He walked over to a young alien child who was visiting the assembly with her parents. The child, a small blue-skinned centauri, had been watching the proceedings with wide eyes. Lo, Keth said softly, kneeling down to the child's level. Out. What's your name? I'm Zara, the child whispered, not afraid, despite her parents' tension. That's a beautiful name, Zara. Would you like to see something amazing? Keth gently touched the chamber's main computer terminal. His crystal spines began to glow, and suddenly holographic flowers bloomed throughout the chamber. The flowers were made of light and danced in the air like living things. Zara laughed with delight and reached out to touch the light flowers.
Ow.
Other children in the chamber began to smile and point at the beautiful display. This is who I am, Keth said too. The assembly. I use my abilities to create beauty and help others. I am not a weapon. I am not a threat. I am simply a being who wants to live in peace and contribute to the galaxy. The vote, when it finally came, was overwhelming. 847 delegates voted to spare Keth's life and establish protections for the remaining Valdari children. Only 23 delegates, mostly from Chancellor Morden's faction, voted for execution. But the assembly went further than just sparing Keth. They voted to establish the Valdari Rehabilitation Program, with Keth as its first ambassador. The program would locate other Valdari children and place them with caring families throughout the galaxy. Director Nam Soo-jin was chosen to head the program, working directly with Keth to ensure its success. "We're going to give every Valdari child the same chance that Keth received," she announced, "the chance to choose their own destiny." 6 months later, Keth stood on the bridge of a new ship called Serenity's Promise. It was larger than the original Serenity's Hope and specially designed for rescue missions. Captain Lee Taemin was still the commanding officer, but now they had a crew of both humans and rescued Valdari children. "Contact established with the refugee ship," reported Communications Officer Yoon Hae-won. "They have 12 Valdari children aboard, all in need of medical attention." "Take us in," Captain Lee ordered. "Let's bring our people home." Keth activated the ship's communication system. "This is Ambassador Keth of the Valdari Rehabilitation Program. We're here to help. You're safe now." As they approached the refugee ship, Keth saw the frightened faces of Valdari children pressed against the windows. They looked just like he had when Captain Lee first found him, scared, alone, and convinced that the galaxy wanted them dead. But now they would learn what Keth had learned. They would discover that kindness existed in the universe. They would find families who would love them regardless of their species. And they would have the chance to become whatever they chose to be. The galaxy had turned away from the fierce cubs, but the humans had offered kindness instead. And that kindness had changed everything. Keth touched the communication panel and spoke to the frightened children. "My name is Keth, and I was once scared just like you. But I want you to know something important. You are not alone anymore. You have family waiting for you." The two ships connected. Keth prepared to welcome the next generation of Valdari children into a galaxy that was finally ready to give them a chance. The fierce cubs would no longer be abandoned. Instead, they would be raised with love, and they would grow up to be whatever they dreamed of becoming. The age of fear was ending. The age of hope had begun.